So what we're jumping into today, it's not really a story about some shiny new piece of tech. Nope. This is a story about a person, a lifelong challenge, and how AI, of all things, became this incredible tool for empowerment in a way you just never expect. It's all about turning a barrier into a breakthrough.
And right here, this is the mindset at the absolute heart of our story. This quote, in its raw, unfiltered form, it tells you everything you need to know about the person we're talking about. Forget perfect grammar. This is about a perfect, unstoppable philosophy on life.
Okay, so to really get the breakthrough, you gotta understand the struggle. And we're not talking about just, having a tough time with spelling. This was a deep, fundamental challenge with the very building blocks of language itself. I mean, can you imagine that? Having to memorize the shape and meaning of every single word because sounding it out just isn't an option? If a word wasn't already in your mental library, it was a complete mystery. That really paints a picture of the mountain he was up against, especially when all this complex new tech started showing up. And get this whole journey didn't start in his 20s. He was 57 years old when he decided to tackle this thing head on. So this isn't a story about some young tech whiz. It's about lifelong resilience meeting a brand new frontier. And this is really the crux of it, isn't it? For a lot of us, the rise of AI and all this talk about prompt engineering felt like a huge opportunity. But if you struggle with vocabulary, it must have felt like a brand new wall, higher and more intimidating than any before. How are you supposed to talk to a machine that thrives on nuance when your own words are limited? Well, this is where the story takes a turn. Because instead of just trying to use the tools that were out there, he decided to build one. This wasn't about being a consumer anymore. It was about creation. It was about taking control of the very thing that was supposed to be a barrier. He called it Prompt Builder. And just look at that definition. From the very beginning, the mission was crystal clear. This wasn't an app for the experts, the so-called prompt engineers or the academics. No, this was for the underdogs, for everyone who had ever been made to feel like technology wasn't for them. And that whole mindset, it carried over into everything, even just choosing a name for his YouTube channel. Sure, he could have used his own name, but Dyslexia made me do AI, that's a statement. It's memorable, sure, but more than that, it's a brand built on his absolute truth. It turns the struggle right into the headline. And this is just brilliant. When he accidentally misspelled dyslexia in his channel name, his AI collaborator didn't just correct him. It saw the power in what some would call a mistake. It helped him see his perceived weakness not as an error to be fixed, but as an authentic, powerful part of his brand. But, the journey was not a straight line. Not at all. Building something new, especially when you're jumping into an unfamiliar world like creating YouTube content, it's messy. It's a whole lot of trial and error and asking a ton of questions. And what's so fascinating is the relationship he built with the AI. It wasn't just a tool taking orders, it became a strategic partner. I mean, look at this back and forth. It helped him figure out what content format to use, when to publish, and what features to just ignore for now. It brought clarity to all that confusion. The AI also played the role of a super patient teacher. It broke down what seems like a simple process to many of us into the most basic, easy-to-follow steps. For someone feeling totally overwhelmed, a simple little checklist like this can be the difference between giving up and actually hitting publish. It makes the impossible feel possible. And here it is again, that raw honesty. He didn't know the jargon, he had no idea what vertical or horizontal video meant. He just knew he had a story he needed to tell, and he hit record. That's a struggle that so many new creators can relate to. And this is the magic of a good explainer, whether it's human or AI. Instead of using more confusing tech speak, the AI just translated it. It used simple, everyday analogies, like how you hold your phone versus like a TV screen. That simple act of translation is so incredibly empowering. It gives you understanding, not just a list of instructions. So, after all that struggle, all the questions, all the collaboration, what was the final result? What did he actually end up building? This right here is the core genius of the app. It's a translator. A user can type in a simple, everyday phrase like sunset glow, and the app turns it into the technical, fancy term the AI needs to create a beautiful image, like golden hour. It's literally a bridge across the vocabulary gap. And you can see how the entire design reflects that mission. Everything is built to lower the barrier to entry. You've got preset buttons for when you're stuck, simple examples to get you going, and of course, the ability to just type what you know. It's all designed for confidence, not complexity. And he never, ever lost sight of who he was building this for. This quote just says it all. The goal wasn't to make the most powerful, feature-packed tool on the market. The goal was to build the most empowering tool for the people who needed it the most. And that really brings us to the ultimate purpose here. You see, this project was never just about building an app. It was about spreading a message of hope and of possibility. Wow. You can just feel the heart behind the entire project in those words. This wasn't some corporate business plan. It was a prayer, a deeply personal mission to reach out and help others who felt the same way he did. It's about sharing a solution that was born from his own personal journey. And this is his challenge to all of us, really. That fear, the fear of looking foolish, of not knowing enough, of failing. That's what holds so many of us back. He's arguing that the biggest risk, the only real scam, is letting that fear stop you from even trying in the first place. In the end, he took dyslexia, a lifelong barrier with words, and he turned it into the very foundation of his unique strength. That perspective allowed him to see a need that everyone else was missing, and to build a tool that nobody else could. And that kind of leaves us with a question for ourselves, doesn't it? What's our barrier? And how could we, like him, turn it into our greatest superpower?